Okay, so tonight, by the way, you look. I wanna. Where are you?
What?
Ah, you look. You look very twinkly, very sparkly tonight. Very nice. You look very nice and relaxed and calm. And
No.
you're not.
No.
You usually are. You'll be fine. You will be
Okay.
fine, and you look quite beautiful, I think.
Oh, thanks, honey.
The only thing we're doing tonight that you need to be concerned with is we're giving away your, what do you call it?
It's viewer appreciation.
And tonight's prize is?
It's a poster from the IMM.
Oh, the International Motocross Museum?
Yes.
Okay. And what poster is it?
And a poster of their choice.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's all you have to
They
do.
have to go to the IMM website.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I need to go.
Go ahead.
I need to go live right now. It's Joe Abbate. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. I just got a notice that says something is not on Facebook. Do you see me? Do you see me on?
Yeah.
I've got a thing on my screen says that I'm not connected for Vintage Motocross Q&A, but apparently I am. Yes?
You're there.
Okay, good. Thank you all for joining me tonight here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. We've got a really great show lined up for you. We've got a wonderful video by Jerry Maddox and a bunch of other cool stuff as well. In the meantime, I want to thank our sponsors who make this show possible week after week and have for quite a few years now. I want to thank Motion Pro, Preston Petty Products, Vinco, the Moto Barn and George Ackerman, ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com, Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Full Circle Racing, and my dear friend, Mike Chamberlain. Also, we want to thank our supporters, people like Al Roof, Fred Hudgens from Derf Cycles, FastGuyStuff.com, guys who are running our stickers and buying some shirts from us, people like Keith Zybrig, and he's got our logo on his trailer right there. We're just having a great time being out there on the road with him, as well as Jerry Maddox. Jerry Maddox doing a great job for us out there on the road and making some videos for us. Don't forget, if you want to make a donation to the show, you can go over to PayPal. Whether you're a PayPal member or not, you can use your credit card. We also have a QR code. We have a QR code, and you could scan that, and you could, you can make a donation with your credit card or directly through a bank. We also take Zelle, Venmo, whatever it might be. I'm starting to sound like a televangelist, so enough with the raising of the money. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, comment one of our sponsors. It's always nice to give them a plug out there. Because they've been so grateful and so special to us over the years. Over 4 years now, some of them have been with us. And tonight's random share giveaway, Susie, is?
It's a poster from the IMM, and it's a poster of your choice, actually. If you go to their website and you pick the one you want, and
Get us their address.
yeah, nice.
And then we're ready to rock and roll, and we'll send them a poster, compliments of Terry Good and the International Motocross Museum. In the next time, try this segment tonight. I've got something very special for you. You're going to see a lot more of this fellow in the near future. He's working on getting his third ARMA National Championship. His name is Jerry Maddox, and he put together a real nice video for us. You're going to see more from Jerry. Here comes the first of several. You're going to be
Hey,
seeing.
Dad, why is this shock so wobbly?
Ryder makes a good point, and in just a few seconds I'm going to show you why and how to service your rear suspension. Stay tuned. I'm Jerry Maddox,
And I'm Ryder Maddox in sunny California.
and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. hosted by Joe Abbate. Hi folks, today I want to talk to you about what I believe is one of the most important key parts to your success, and maybe even more importantly, your safety when racing vintage motorcycles. It's your rear suspension. I want you to know that there's 3 very key pivot points in your rear suspension that must be serviced and maintained. The top shock mount, the lower shock mount, and of course, the swing arm pivot. So it's very important that when you remove your shock, take a look at it and see if it has removable bushings or if it has fixed eye bushings. Either way, you need to apply a liberal amount of grease to those, so as that swing arm travels up and down, the shock can pivot ever so slightly at the top mount and the lower mount. If you allow those to become dry, crusty, rusty, and that shock can't move, that makes for very poor suspension. So it's very important to me that you lubricate that, check it, clean it often. Make it a part of your lifestyle. Now onto your rear swing arm. Your swing arm pivot bolt is one of the most neglected non-service parts on your motorcycle by many. Could be the single most important part that you lubricate on that bike. They're 10 to C's, they're hard to get out, but more importantly, you will feel the difference in your suspension. So often, remove your swing arm pivot bolt. Remove your entire swing arm and find out, is it rotating on needle bearings? Is it rotating on a big bushing? Is it rotating on sealed bearings? If you're rotating on a bushing like my Elsinore is, or even needle bearings, again, you must apply a liberal amount of grease and keep that clean. You need that swing arm to travel up and down without any resistance at all. Lastly, to answer Ryder's question, why did my shock appear to be wobbly, is the term he used? It's because I don't over tighten the shock bolts. Depending again on your bushings, your shims, or whatever you may be using to space that shock properly, it's important that you don't lock the shock to the frame or to the swing arm. That's a very common mistake by over tightening and compressing the clamps onto the shock. When that happens, you put the shock into a bind. And when you bind the shock, the swing arm and the force of you riding it is going to compress the shock anyway. And guess what's going to happen? That's when a shock shaft will bend or even break. And that's a worse problem. So check your bolts. Make sure you have liberal amount of grease on those fittings. And again, for safety, for championships, don't over tighten those shock bolts. Just get them just the perfect tension where everything can move freely. And check it often. It's only your life.
Let's go test these bad boys out.
Great job by Jerry and Ryder Maddox. I want to thank them both for contributing so much to the show. And you can catch them on the road. They'll be at Mid-Ohio, and they'll be at another ARMA race that is coming up this weekend. The Next Time Tread League segment is brought to you and has been brought to you for years by Vinco. Keep the ride going with over 1,000 products in their catalog. Vinco, you know, they've got rod kits for just about every motorcycle made that we all have in our shops, whether it's the Suzukis, the Yamahas, the Hondas, the TSs, the TRs, whatever it may be. You got to get a hold of Vinco, and they have a special going on right now too with free shipping. That's free USPS priority mail shipping on any order over $200. That's Vinco. They've got rod kits, they've got piston kits, they've got gaskets, they've got just about everything you'll ever want for your Elsinores, your YZs, Kawasaki's, and they love OSAs over there. My good friend, Curtis Leverton. Thanks so much for your support here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. The What's It Worth segment tonight is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. I'll have a little clip from Full Circle in just a minute. But right now, this is, of course, the part of the show where we encourage you, the viewers at home, to give your best guess on how much you think this bike recently sold for. It is a 1970 Husqvarna 360 Cross. It was sold on July 10th. It was sold in Oregon. I'm going to go through the slides here while I read what's going on because I am ambidextrous, as they say. This 1970 Husky 360 Cross is equipped with a 354cc two-stroke single paired to a 4-speed transmission. It has a silver frame, a beautiful steel tank that has been refinished. Features on this bike include aluminum fenders, a 21-inch front wheel, and 18 rear alloy shouldered rims. It's got Girling shocks and an expansion chamber. It also has the original side stands, McGregor hand controls, and cross-braced handlebars. Fuel tank is finished in red with the polished knee panels and white accents. And it is noted that there is some wear on it. Features also include a silver painted single down tube frame, polished alloy fenders, a black seat. How interesting, black seat. White plastic number plates and a side stand. Wire spoke wheels, which are laced to shouldered rims. A lot of repetition in this ad. As I say week after week, I'm really never thrilled with the buy a trailer or bring a trailer ads. Anyway, suspension consists of a Husqvarna telescopic fork, as well as a pair of chrome-shrouded Girling shocks. The 350cc two-stroke is a factory rated at 37 horsepower. It does have a Bing carburetor. It's got a left side kick, and everything on the bike is as it should be. And looking at the pictures a lot closer, as I was doing while I was preparing the show, it does look like everything is in really nice condition on the bike. It displays very well in the pictures, and they've given us some very good detail shots of it as well. Things like the highlighted Husqvarna letters that are on the side of the engine. These are all things that really add up and makes for a nice display. Now, it is up to you, the viewers at home, to give me your best guess on what you think this bike recently sold for. You can type the answer in. That's always fun. And also, you know what else you can type in? Where you're watching the show from. So what is your answer on the 7360 Cross? $3,500, $45,000. You think it's a $5,500 bike. You're just shocked that I didn't mention Steve McQueen's name, and neither did they. I get that. How much do you think the bike recently sold for? It sold for $4,350. $4,350. Anybody get close, Susie?
No, everybody was way over.
Everybody was way over?
Way over.
All right. Who got the lowest?
The lowest?
All right. You tell us when we get back. We're going to go to our full circle plug, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes, and maybe we'll find out who got closest with going over, without going over. Whatever you did, we're going to find out in just a minute. We'll be right back.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple.
I wanted to see something different. Hang on a second. I'll find it.
What do you want to say?
I wanted to see my full circle thingy.
How much did it sell for?
It sold for $4,350.
Well, then you say it got 4,200.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use full circle racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run full circle racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing, whether it's for on-road, off-road, dual-purpose bike, vintage or modern, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. They've been a big help to us for quite some time now. Susie, did you say something about somebody got the right price or got close on the Husqvarna at $4,350?
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was.
Look at the camera. Let everybody see your beautiful face.
Hold on, I'm looking. Hold on. Andrew Sayers.
Andrew Sayers.
4,200.
Andrew Sayers, 4,200. That was closest without going over. The price is $4,350. Andrew, thanks for playing along. We appreciate that. Next up tonight, we have the new, boy, I'll tell you, the heat is getting to me a little bit here.
Oh, stop.
in Northern California. We've got Mike Conley. Mike Conley had a good question that came in this week. Mike wants to know, why did Bultaco slant or tilt their 1975 Persang shocks cattywampus backward to the rest of the MX industry? Mike, if you're talking about forward mounting, which is really kind of opposite of cattywampus, cattywampus is on an angle that doesn't quite look right. I noticed that on the 1976 bikes where they kind of had them forward mounted a little bit and laid down. But I also thought that maybe, being you did say 1975 Persang, that you were talking about how they forward mounted them. They forward mounted them almost to the point of where they almost look like they're past vertical, like the pivot on the swing arm, or the shock pivot on the swing arm almost looks like it's ahead of the top shock pivot on the frame. But I did get a hold of a couple of Bultaco gurus. Ralph was one of them, and Woody Graves was the other one. And they both confirmed that they do look like they're actually forward of the top shock mount at times, but they're not. So if you mean by cattywampus further on the bottom than they are on the top, they're not. But boy, I'll tell you, like even in this picture, it really, really does look like they are. So I know Mike has sent in some other questions as well, and we'll be following up on those questions in the very near future. Thanks for that, Mike Conley. Don't forget, that segment is brought to you by Motion Pro. Still 20% off across the board on everything from Motion Pro. When you go to check out, Susie, just check out and put in MP Motion Pro 9135. That's MP 9135. I also want to thank everybody who's been buying shirts from us lately. Here's a really interesting one. Jim Pursley, better way to celebrate your 56th anniversary than taking your main squeeze over by the riverside, shaving and putting on some Old Spice aftershave and wearing a Vintage Motocross Q&A shirt. There it is. Thank you for supporting us, and happy anniversary to Jim Pursley. If you want to get a Vintage Motocross Q&A shirt, you can get one just like this. The prices start at just $20. They go from small, medium, large, extra large, all the way up to 5X. Not only do they come in white, gray, and black, they come in any color you would like. And for a limited time only, before I get a cease and desist letter, you can get one with a logo of your favorite bike on there, like this S in the name I can't mention, like this Mako, which has been out of business for 30 years, and I don't think it matters. Here's a K. I'm sure to get a notice from someone to say, hey, stop using that. On the back of the shirt is our regular Vintage Motocross Q&A logo. But if you want one with like this, or like this, let me know. We have them in all sizes ready to ship, and you can get them in any color you want, any style you want as well. We're going to take a little break here from the International Motocross Museum. Then we're going to be back with a really special Mugen 4-stroke vintage Honda. I'm not sure. It's, you got to see it.
Hi, I'm Tommy Croft, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate. We'll be right back with my dear friend Joe.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 company. You can get over to their website, internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. You can buy a shirt, a hat, a clock. There's all kinds of great swag over there. And it's all tax deductible. the International Motocross Museum. Also, we have another announcement. I also talked about it last week for a moment. The International Motocross Museum has a potential target opening date of mid-2025. So we're talking about just about a year from now. That's 25 bikes in that picture right there. There are over 125 vintage works motorcycles in the International Motocross Museum collection. We also have 100,000 square foot building secured. Some of the bikes are already there. There's going to be an event for the donors a little bit later on in the summer, probably early fall once it cools off. Terry Good's been collecting bikes and memorabilia for over 45 years, and with the amount of money he spent, he could probably put a sizable dent in the budget. But instead, he's going to bring you those bikes in Chicago in the very near future. And yes, I will be there. Next segment is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. It is the Moto Showcase. Be sure to get over to Preston Petty Products to get some of those wonderful plastic fenders and lights and all the other great things, including grips, that Preston Petty Products has been bringing us for so many years now. Tonight's got a little bit of an interesting twist to our Moto Showcase. The person who sent the Moto Showcase bike in, his name is Mickey Dunlap. And Mickey writes to us that the Legend and Heroes guys invited him and his son to Syracuse Supercross. This was to display my Team Honda 200X three-wheeler, which I thought was really, really interesting. Anyway, it was also on the cover of Dirt Wheels, where they ran all of my old race stories I wrote on Facebook for 3 months in a row. Didn't know if you wanted to add that kind of history to it, but I wanted to tell you about that, my two-wheelers, my three-wheelers, and my 16 years in Washington State, where I've won a lot of championships in motocross, TT, and short track. Also, some mini racing, and of course, I had gone over to the dark side in the three-wheelers. Well, Mick, we do want to talk about that, and you are certainly involved in racing in all forms. And this bike caught my eye, and this is something I don't do very often. This bike, you know, I ask people every week if they would like to present their bikes here on our show, Vintage Motocross Q&A, for the Moto Showcase. But once in a while, something catches my eye, and I'll actually contact the person and ask them if we can do it. And Mick said yes. And here it is, and you can see why I wanted to have it on the show. Anyway, Mick tells us, I built the motor, and it's with a 20 over 66 millimeter 14-to-1 compression piston. It has a stage 2 cam and valve springs, and I did a big valve port and a flow job on the head with my custom 3-step head pipe and 32 millimeter carb. It also has a custom scoop with my oil cooler kit behind it. Plastic is, of course, starts with the Preston Petty fender up front. It's got DC plastics, a Mugen Johnny O scoop on the front plate, which also came from DC, and it's got some side panels on there, compliments of Mayer, and a CR125 rear fender. Most people won't see it, but on the rear fender is a Dunlap sticker. The Dunlap sticker is because my name is Mickey Dunlap, not Mickey Dunlop, as many people would say. Back in the day, it was the same thing in the magazines. They wouldn't get the name right. They'd spell it wrong in certain places. Anyway, it got to the point and made it to some articles, but they don't get it wrong anymore. Well, I want to thank you, Mick, for sending in this absolutely incredible bike. You know what we didn't do, Mick? I didn't ask, and you didn't tell me. What year is this bike? It does have a single shock, and it does have an XR200 motor. So I'm guessing it is obviously a Honda XR200. What year with that single shock on the back, I don't know. I'm guessing 81, 82. And you took it a couple of steps further by adding all the Mugen-looking stuff on there, including that front number plate, which really is quite a trick piece. I was especially impressed by your little oil cooling deal here, and it's just real nice. Once again, I want to thank Mick Dunlap for sending in that beautiful bike for us to use here on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, Mick.
Russell Ward says it's a 1982.
Russell says it's a 1982, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take Russell's word for it. I do think it's a 1982.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't want to really speak out of turn. But Russell, thank you very much for that 1982. And now we know what year it was. Thank you, Mick Dunlap. Hey, Mick, you know what? Get me your address, and I'll get you a set of grips, compliments of Preston Petty Products. Thanks so much again for sending in that beautiful bike. What do we got coming up next here? Oh, Jeff Kakasi. You know, every week we have a little segment here from Jeff, and it's called Did You Know? But did you know that Jeff Kokoski is actually in San Diego this week? Yep, Jeff and his family taking a little break down there in San Diego. So no, did you know from Jeff Kokoski. Jeff will be back from his road trip, and I'm sure we'll get something real interesting from Jeff once he does return. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X, the finest publications on your newsstand now, or you can also get it online. Okay. What do we have up first? One of the most historic pictures ever, Gerrit Wolsink and Heikki Mikkola crossing the finish line at Carlsbad in 1974. And one of the most thrilling finishes in motocross history, Dutch rider Gerrit Wolsink crashes his Suzuki across the finish line in the 1974 Hang 10 500cc Grand Prix of Motocross, which was he successfully holding off Husqvarna's Heikki Mikkola for the win. The incident is featured on ABC's Wide World of Sports coverage of the event. The win is the first of what will be an incredible 5 USGP wins in 6 years for Gerrit Wolsink, but it's Mikkola's who will go on to be the 1974 500cc FIM champion, as well as the one man who beat Wolsink at Carlsbad between 74 and 79. And when he wins the 78 version of the event. 1979, the 125cc Grand Prix in Ireland in Clondalkin, Suzuki's Harry Everett swept both motos and, in doing so, built himself an insurmountable lead in the 1979 FIM 125cc Motocross World Championship. That's Harry's bike back there behind that number 1 bike, which actually belongs to Akira Watanabe. I could not find a picture on the number 2 of the number 2 bike with Harry on it from that day. I guess I could have used another picture, but that isn't important right now. Everett's already a 250cc world champion back in 75 with Puch. Took the world title away from his teammate, Akira Watanabe, the only Japanese rider to ever win an FIM World Motocross Championship. 1985, American Johnny O'Mara added yet another international win to his collection with the overall at Unadilla in the 250cc GP. O'Mara went 2-1 on his factory Honda and collected the win over Bob Hanna, his teammate, also on a Honda, who went 1-5. America-based riders actually swept the first 5 overall positions as O'Mara and Hanna were followed by crowd favorite Jojo Keller, Kawasaki's Mark Barnett, and Yamaha's Rick Johnson. The top European was defending 250cc world champion Heinz Kinnegadner, who went 6 for 6 overall. Also in that race, Trampus Parker came in 35 points down on Alex Puzar, the defending champ. But in the first moto, first-turn crash ended Puzar's day and reset the 250cc world champion standings. And the Honda-mounted Parker began his ascent to his second FIM 125. No, his second 250. His first 250 world championship, his second world championship, because his first one was a 125cc world championship. I'm glad I got that all right. I want to thank my dear friend and wonderful sponsor, Paul Parkinson Sr. of ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. You know what they have there? It is absolutely a fantastic item. The Pickle silencer for the 1973-74 Honda CR 125 and 250. Now, you will see these for sale in nice condition for $500 in nice condition. If they were in NOS condition, I've seen them go for as much as $1,000. $595 will get you an exact replica. When I tell you exact replica from Paul Parkinson Sr., and it's not only silencers, it's chain guards, it's air boxes, it's rollers. It's hard to find specialty parts that are all available from Paul Parkinson Sr. He's also going to be coming up with some great items in the very, very near future. I heard he's doing transmission gears, lay shafts. He's even talking about doing some special heads from some of the aftermarket guys from the 70s, also some cylinders. Let's get a look at Paul Parkinson Sr. and some of the things that he has to offer at ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Sorry, I got a little bit of a gap here, but here we go. Add to the stage.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. He carries the #1 plate in the US. Let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then on this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike and that stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175s, and this is a real trick aluminum Kickstarter arm. So that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else. Reliability.
Don't you just love that sound after all these years, Susie? Of that two-stroke taking off like that? I know I do. You know, on tonight's show, you saw a lot brought to us by Jerry Maddox. And Jerry Maddox is kind of a staple on the show now. He's out there chasing his third national championship with Arma, but he's bringing us some great content too. You saw the swing arm pivot information at the beginning. He's also being supported by a lot of great people like Gordon McCaffer, Butch Chandigrath, Amsoil, so many wonderful people, including myself. I want to thank Jerry Maddox for being out there on the road, getting us some great content, and I wish him safe travels as well. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available. Get a hold of us. I will get you a Vintage Motocross Q&A pamphlet, so to speak, and you can learn more about how to become a sponsor for the show. Now, if you don't want to be a sponsor and you just want to be a supporter of the show, you can help us out too, the same way that Tom Miller, Karl Word, Al Keith, Tim Vasquez, of course, Al Roof, Keith Geisner, Tyler McGregor, and Jay Stoecker all did. They all became Vintage Motocross Q&A supporters. For just $49.95, you can become a supporter, and you'll also get a nice-looking Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirt or long sleeve shirt to go along, and you can wear it at the track. We can get you some stickers. We can do some things for you if you show us some love along the way. Upcoming events, we've got, it's this weekend, July 19th through 2021, the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca Race. This is an absolutely beautiful venue that has every discipline from Arma all in one weekend. It's got motocross trials, it's got road racing, and it's in beautiful Salinas, California. You should be on your way there right now. Pomeroy Memorial Cup happens August 10th and 11th. That happens at in Titan, up in Titan, Washington, at the Pomeroy Memorial Motocross track, actually. So get up there to Washington. We all remember Jim Pomeroy. If you're going to be down in Tennessee, August 9th and 10th, there's a good race going on there too. It's called the Muddy Creek Raceway, and they've got a little bit something for everybody. The event starts happening on Thursday. There's camping. There's all sorts of things going on there right through Sunday evening. And that's what's happening as far as events go. Susie?
Yes?
I think that about wraps it up. Oh, no, you've got to tell me.
I have a viewer appreciation name, and also Charlie Bagley wants to know if you know the name of the track that's in the video that you show from the IMN to downhill.
No, but I think it's in Europe. I think.
Oh, is it?
I think so. I'd have to look at the video again. But I mean, if it's in Europe, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Terry Good would know in a minute, or I'm sure some other people. If you go on the International Motocross Museum page, you might find out. But thank you for watching. Who is our...
So the winner tonight is Buck Barrett.
Buck Barrett?
Yeah.
Buck Barrett. You are the winner of an International Motocross Museum poster. You have your choice of any one of these posters, Buck Barrett. Email us your mailing address. I will give it to Terry Good, and we'll get you. And of course, you got to let me know what poster you want too. There's a lot of cool ones on there. Let me know what poster you want, your mailing address. I'll get it over to Terry Good at the International Motocross Museum. And thank you for playing along, Buck Barrett. I think that about wraps it up, Susie, for this week's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to thank everybody for being here and for playing along. No, Gino can't come in here tonight because we have a little bit of disarray inside our kitchen. They're doing some work in there, and we can't get Gino in here. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Don't forget, support all of our sponsors. A lot of great racing going on this weekend if you can get out there. And if you're a contributor or a donor to the International Motocross Museum, I am probably going to see you sometime in October or late fall at the International Motocross Museum building, where this is the last time you will get a close-up look at all those amazing bikes that Terry has collected. If you haven't been a donor, get over to the International Motocross Museum. Help out any way you can. I'm Joe Abbate. Thank you for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Susie, thank you. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to share the show, too.